Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 2 of What If Godlike Naruto Was Awakened by Kushina. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, I post a brand new series over on Anime King 2 of What If Naruto Was Kidnapped and Returned with a Bloodline over on Anime King 2 guys. If you're new, yes I did have 3 channels, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, and this Anime King, which I post What If on every single day. Yes, you heard that correctly, every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be planning talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we jump right into this new episode start? The intro. So the last time we left off, in the old days, the world knew the Sage of Six Paths to be the man that had conquered the demonic Jubi, the beast that was said to be able to split the earth in half, drink the ocean and cause nothing but chaos and death. The Sage of Six Paths went on to fight the beast and defeat it, but unknown to anyone, the beast was already greatly weakened because the beast had went on a rampage and destroyed a mountain. But a single man had stepped out. His name was Naruto Oda. He then destroyed the beast. Literally, with his bare hands. He had hit the thing so hard that it was sent sailing. He beat it so bad it ran. It ran right into the arms of Sage of Six Paths, who then proceeded to seal it away. But that man was never seen again until a young girl was running away. She was running for her life. She was being chased by Kumo ninjas as she fell in a tomb. She crawled and ran away. As the Kumo ninjas caught her, she had bright red hair, as she was kidnapped by them. She couldn't fight back, as she was not strong enough as they held her down. She cried, as she realized what her fate was going to be. That was until someone awakened. His eyes, a bright shade of blue, long blonde hair as he sat on his throne. He was disgusted by these men, what they dared to do to this girl. The rage on his face was palpable. He then proceeded to tear them to pieces, literally with his bare hands. He plunged his hand through them and ripped them apart. He then proceeded to burn the bodies. The girl had passed out afterwards. When she awoken, young Kushina Uzumaki, she looked around as she saw her savior. Seeing that she was now awake, he was about to leave, but she heard that he wanted information, so she told him to come with her, as she needed help getting back home as well, to the Uzumaki compound at the Land of Whirlpools. They will have any information that he needed. So he agreed. They traveled for 2 weeks. Kushina felt comfortable and safe around him. She learned a bit more about him, but not that much. She noticed he carried a blade, but she never saw him use it before, as he always had the holster. When he fought, he simply ripped his hand through his opponents. Despite the brutality he showed, he was kind and sweet as well. As he found out a bit about her as well, she was being transported to Konoha, but she was kidnapped. Well, more attacked, and the Konoha ninjas fled, as the Kumo ninjas chased after her. They boarded the ship as they made their way. As Naruto arrived and he saw the elegance of Uzu, the guards came there as they stopped them immediately. But it was when they saw Kushina they calmed down, as she told him to take them to her father. So with that they made their way. As Naruto saw the Uzukage, when he heard what happened, not to mention when the Konoha ninjas did abandon his daughter, he was angry. She was going to be sent to Konoha to become the new Jinchuriki, but hearing this, he was second-guessing everything. He was rather furious. He told her to go and see her mother and also her sister as well, as they must be worried about her as well. Hearing these new news, they would be shocked. She said goodbye to Naruto after hugging him. She seemed to have grown quite attached to him, seeing that she was glaring at all the other girls and women that fell for his looks. The Uzushiogakure spoke Naruto. It was then that Naruto said his last name, Oda. The man was shocked as he dropped his cup, but someone burst in the room. It turned out that Uzu was being attacked by 3 nations at once. As Naruto made a deal with the Uzushiogakure that he should give him all that he asked for, and he will save the village. The Uzushiogakure was shocked by that, as how would Naruto do that? But Naruto promised him, as he told him just to stay inside. Naruto made his way as he created a massive field of flames around the village, so none of the boats or ships could get in. With a single swipe, he slaughtered hundreds. As he started to move through the ranks, he was a man of death and destruction, as he slaughtered countless ninjas within the blink of an eye. They were being cut down piece by piece. The ninjas stood no chance. That is when Naruto felt 2 other chakra signatures, 2 stronger ones, approach. It turns out that it was the Raikage and Tishikage. Naruto asked them for their names, as they told him their names, Mew, and also the Raikage Z. As Naruto turned his blade towards them, and told them that it was time for them to fall. Both Kages were quite confident in their power, so they became rather alarmed when Naruto moved forward, shocking the hell out of them. So yeah guys, it's basically what I thought. If you guys can switch across the playstick of yourself, and also guys, remember to stay tuned for the rest of what is coming your way. I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. Without further ado, what do you say we jump right into this new episode? Let's get it started guys. Very well. I am the 3rd Raikage Z. And I am the 2nd Tishikage Mew. As both men looked towards Naruto, Naruto took in the titles and their names as he nodded. Good. Before they could even speak, he vanished. They looked around confused. What the? Z said, as a blonde appeared right in front of him. Z was a man of immense speed, so it was rather shocking when Naruto's fist planted in his stomach and he couldn't even block. Then pain, untold amount of pain, exploded inside of him. His eyes popped in shock. As he felt his insides burning, he leaped himself away off the fist, his body trembling. Such strength, he bypassed my lightning armor. And even then it felt like he broke a few ribs, he said, as he looked at Naruto. As Naruto looked toward his hand, I felt a tingle, he said. Mew appeared above him as he unsheathed both of the blades that were strapped to his back. Then he swung, but Naruto ducked and brought the sheath of his blade up, slamming it under Mew's chin. Mew's head snapped to the sky as Naruto twists and drive a brutal kick in his stomach, launching him away. Mew managed to stop himself from going too far. As both him and Z eyed the blonde man, Z rubbed his ribs. I wonder how he's doing. As he could feel ribs were broken from that single punch. This wasn't good. Tuh. Hopefully he dies. Mew muttered a small scoff. I don't believe that you have time to talk amongst battle. Mew's eyes went wide as he looked up. Boom! A massive explosion went off. Back in Uzu, at the waterways, your family has been safely hidden away, Uzukage-dono. The 2 shinobis appeared by his side, and standing behind him was the entire force of Uzu. The Uzukage just gave the shinobis a nod as he looked forward. The waterways were a system that was built to filter out the water from the village. It was their main power supply as the tides, generated from the ocean and the whirlpool, surrounded Uzu, always came through the river, which they used as a form of hydropower, with numerous amounts of tides, surrounded the waterways, and not to mention the entrance. They generate a large amount of power for the village itself. It was the main source of power for the village, electricity, but it was also a good place for a potential enemy to come through. However, no one knew about the entry points, except for those who laid the foundation of Uzu. The Uzukage and the clan heads. The Uzukage frowned at where the thoughts in his mind were going. The evidence were becoming so much more clearer of who the traitor was. First, Konoha abandoned his daughter in the midst of an ambush. Secondly, the only ones who were to know the secret bypassing the whirlpool surrounded Uzu was fellow Uzumakis, with a lick of true Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, and Konoha already had a Uzumaki in their village. However, he found it near impossible for her to ever relay that information to them. Third and last of all, as he looked toward the Kiri ships coming through the water entrance, was how their secret entrance were compromised. Konoha didn't know them, and yet they were the most likely suspects to betray them after having a such long ally between one another. There was no other villages that know about this. So why? And how did Konoha get this knowledge? And why betray them? Why betray them now? I'll deal with it later, he thought to himself, as he looked towards the leader. I never thought that we would battle one another. Mida Hozuki, or should I say, Mizukage-san, said the Uzu clan head, as he looked towards Mizukage with a stern gaze. Unlike his fellow Uzumakis, he remained perfectly still as he looked upon the Kage. The man in question smirked, had a pale complexion, with a tall and slender build, long dark blonde hair that was swept back in a combed-down style. His eyes were a unique shade of turquoise. He had a thin mustache that went down. He was wearing a dark blue bodysuit, with a grey robe over it. Mida's smirk grew as he looked back in the cold eyes of the Uzukage. Yes, but then again, I never thought I would have the honor to face you myself. We came here with all the leaders of our village to take you and your clan out. But it seems that the honor shall be mine after all. It was an aspiration of mine to take down the man who slaughtered the entire Kaguya clan. Am I right, Uzumaki Kenjin? A Kira ninja came up to Mida. Mizukage-no, it seems like our entire path behind us is blocked off by a giant wall of fire. Mida raised an eyebrow before the Uzukage Kenjin gave a chuckle. It would seem my comrade is dealing with the main invading force. Good. That leave me and my clan's man the task of dealing with you, and I don't plan to show you a shred of mercy, Mida. The man threw off his robes to show his armor beneath it. The atmosphere got thick and tense. The armor was pitch black. Underneath he had on a full red bodysuit, as he was wearing the Uzumaki headband, steel arm guards over his wrists. With his body revealed, he was a good 6 feet, his long red hair going down into his back, and his small mustache at his chin. He had a slim, muscular build, not one to get in the way of his speed. Etched into his armor was a symbol for the Uzumaki clan, bringing his palm out, a seal glow in the middle of his palm. As Mida's eyes narrowed, as Kenshin looked directly into his eyes. Now come and face the wrath of the Uzumaki clan, he said as the seal started to glow brighter. Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, Ryu no Hoko. The seal glowed before it released a transparent glow. That glow released a giant wave of flames. Mida flashed through hand sign water style. As he took in a deep breath, his cheeks swelled. He then released a torrent of water that collided with the fireball. Tss. Both attacked disappearing as steam. Mida glanced out, his eyes widened when he saw the cold eyes of Kenjin. Kenjin slammed his palm into his stomach. Then the fight begins. Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, Shokihan. That was all that Mida heard before his ears pop, and a strange force collided with his body as he was launched. The Uzumaki's leap as the Kira ninjas leaped forward as the chaos began. Meanwhile, at Uzu shelters, the shelters were well built into the underground system of the village itself. Built during the village construction, it was made for the clansmen who could not take part in the battle. And just in case, it had an underground tunnel that would lead them directly under the island and lead them towards the mainland. It was one large shelter to fit for a mass number of people. It was here as the shelter was trembling as the Uzumakis were hiding away. Most of them was the elderly and the parents who could not fight, and their children. Among them was 3 other Uzumakis, one of them being Kushina, as she looked to her side to see the 2 others with her. The first was a girl her age. They look alike, but they had a few differences. Her hair was a shade of scarlet red, as she had 2 bangs covering her forehead, with 2 longer bangs framing the side of her face. Her eyes were that of a brown shade. She was wearing the traditional Uzukarb, the red and black, and on the shoulder had the Uzumaki symbol. This girl was her twin sister, Ursa Uzumaki, Genin of Uzu, but more importantly, second heiress to the Uzumaki clan. And I keep telling you we should go out there and fight as well, she said, as the third person simply gave a soft chuckle. Kushina's sweat dropped with her sister's attitude. She probably had the same attitude as her. Looking towards the third person, an older woman who seemed to be in her mid-30s, at least. Her hair was the same shade as Ursa's, but her eyes were the same as Kushina's. She was wearing a crimson kimono with a white shirt and hakama underneath. The kimono was decorated with a number of flowery designs, and on the back was the Uzumaki symbol. with a whirlpool around it, crashing waves. She was the mother of Kushina and Urza, Kurara Uzumaki, matriarch of the Uzumaki clan. You're still a bit too young to go fight in a war, Urchan. As she pat her child in the head, Urza pouted at still being treated like a child. She was a genin, dammit. Still, it doesn't sit well with me to leave Dad and everyone else out there while we have to wait here on the ground, dammit. I know, Mizumi, but don't forget that your dad is one of the most powerful Uzumakis in the history of our clan. Besides, he's fighting alongside the clansmen different in our home, so there's no need to worry, she assured her daughter. Urza could not defend against that smile as her mother gave her a rather beautiful, calm smile that made her feel at ease. As she calmed herself down, the dome trembled once again. Will this place hold though? Kushina said, looking up. As her mother glanced up, the place was crafted by their ancestors. Don't worry, Kushi-chan. This place is a marble crafted from our ancestors' hands. It is a fruit of their labor. No small amount of a simple siege would break it. You look rather worried, my Mizumi, she said. You know that your father will be just fine. Could it be that you're worried about that man that saved you from the Kumo ninjas? Kushina's face became beet red. Urza glanced over towards her sister as she remembered what her sister told her and their mother, and she wanted to meet the man to thank him for saving her sister. However, to see this reaction from Kushina was rather surprising. Kushina was a tomboy more than anything else, more than herself. So this could only mean one thing. This guy had to be special to meet Kushina act that way. Urza wanted to meet him a lot more now. Mom, Kushina whined, as her mother simply giggled. Still, that didn't mean that Kurara wasn't interested in this person. From what Kushina said, he woke up in some kind of tomb. The wall behind her trembled as she closed her eyes. There's a foreign energy source on the shore of the island. Whoever it is, they're facing against the entire enemy force. There's also two powerful chakra there, fit for a Kage, and he's facing them. And the rest of their forces. This has to be him, the one that saved my daughter. She thought to herself, whoever this is, he's immensely powerful, she thought. Kurara Dano, one of these shinobi shouted out as he came over. What is it, she asked. We have intruders. It seems a toad and a snake are trying to infiltrate the shelter. Her eyes narrowed. It seems a leaf are trying to strangle out their struggling roots. Very well. She placed her hand in the wall. As the secret exit closed off, there was a great rumble beneath them. She got many looks from the other Uzumakis, but she gave them a serene smile and answer the unasked question. Don't worry, just washing away some strays that got caught up in the train. They all sweat dropped at how sadistic the smile looked. Just a serene expression with a smile like that. Both girls looked towards their mother. Mom is scary. With Naruto. This man, he's a demon, said Mew. As he and Z stood a few feet away from Naruto. They'd been fighting for a good hour yet neither of them had landed a single blow on the blonde. Not even his clothing was singed or torn. There was not a single scuff mark or anything on him. But the two Kages weren't doing so good at all. When they first started the fight, they thought they had the advantage in number. There was no way that they could lose. But the way he fought them, it was like he was fighting off children. Like they were mere genins, nothing compared to him. Mew had suffered number of wounds, as his head was bleeding badly. His headband had been knocked off, and there was a large gash. As he panted, his left arm hung at his side. His shoulder had been broken cleanly. His right eye was closed shut. There was a slash coming down it that nearly took out his eye completely. Luckily, it only scarred it, but it was enough to close it off though. As for Z, he was bleeding from the mouth. There was a few fist indentation in his body, bruises and cuts. His left arm was completely shattered. His abdomen was all purple. He put a hand to his chest as he eyed the stoic blonde who stood there calmly. I honestly don't know what he is, and the fire that has surrounded Uzunakune has halted the rest of the ship in their advancement. Whatever the case, we must keep trying. Mew could only nod before he did a set of one-handed seals. Sons of the Sage, what else do you have to show? Earth style, Shinyosuke. 10 massive boulders rose from the sea. They swirled around Naruto before. They all shot towards him to crush him under their might. He gripped his katana as he waited until they were close enough. He then brought his blade up and swiped it several times. To the two men's shock, the boulders split apart, the debris falling into the water. But they did not let that stop them though. They had to stop this man. Lightning, Kuropanza, Z was right above Naruto within seconds. As black lightning shot down, Naruto raised his hand as a panther came in contact with his palm. It can't be possible. Z thought in shock. He thought it was impossible. Naruto was holding back the panther before he turned his hand and turned it towards Raikage. Having no time to move, the Raikage crossed his arms. He screamed out as the technique slammed into him as he grunted out in pain. Miu looked on in shock. Black lightning was said to be extremely volatile, lightning to touch, and if not handled extremely well, it could hurt the user as well, even kill them. And yet this blonde man had not only caught it but redirected it back to the Raikage. How? It's very simple, said Naruto. No matter how it is, lightning, at its very core, is very simple. It's an electric discharge, and thus I can absorb it into my body and redirect it as I choose, before it can cause any harmful effect on my body. He said it like it was just so simple, like he just hadn't redirected one of the most dangerous elements. Miu couldn't believe it how this man had just explained something that has been a theory for years, and he just did it. It was official, this man was extremely dangerous. Naruto opened out his palms. Heito, 31, he said. As a small ball formed, it was the size of an apple. It started to grow and condense at the same time before it folding on itself until it started to pulse. Miu stepped back. There it is again. It's ninjutsu, but so much destructive power collected in one place. As Miu watched, Naruto held on to the orb, knowing that if Z was to lose right now, he would be screwed. He rushed towards the man as Naruto threw the orb towards Z. Boom! The thing exploded, shaking the waters. All of the ships behind them was gone in dust. Screams didn't last for long as the flames swallowed them whole. The fire did not stop, though it kept on raging as Naruto raised his hand as the fire shot up in the sky. He then looked down towards his hand as he frowned a bit. Has all my time spent sleeping put a lack over my control of my power, or has it grown exponentially over the past few years? He thought to himself. A few feet away he saw the two opponents. The look on their face was pure shock. They looked towards their fleet. It was all gone. 3 shinobi villages combining their forces, and now they were all gone. That looked like a Biju bomb, only on a far more destructive scale. What is this, man? Thought the Kishikage in shock. I have an idea, said Z, but you have to keep him occupied. Think you can do that? Miu looked towards him for a moment before he gave a small nod. Though if he was honest with himself, this entire thing was being a complete failure because majority of their forces were now gone. But there was a new urge growing inside him. He had to kill this man because if he was set loose on the world, Miu feared for the worst. I'll get him, but make sure what you're doing is best something that can take him out. Z simply scoffed as his right hand started to cackle with lightning. Don't worry, it will, he said. Naruto stood where he was as he did not move. Miu then threw smoke bombs, blanket in the air in a black cloak of smoke. The two of them vanished and everything went quiet. Hiding now, are we? Your cheap parlor tricks will not work, said Naruto. He dodged his head to the left as a few kunai passed him. He heard the sizzle. Boom, they went off. Jumping away, he landed on the water beneath him started to rumble. Earth style, the voice of Miu called out. The water split as Naruto had to jump up in the sky. He glanced up to see Miu above him. Wind style, de Tapa, die! As the attack tried to slam Naruto into the pits of the ocean that he opened up. Naruto vanished. Miu looked around. Be more aware of your surroundings, said Naruto. Miu felt a fist connected with his side. Blood spurted out of his mouth as he was thrown, slamming across the water like a stone. As he came to a stop in a piling heap, his body in pain. That is when Naruto felt a presence coming from behind him. As he turned, Z's entire body was covered up in black lightning. A colossal explosion went off when he made contact. Water shot straight up to the sky. Massive waves spreading. Soon enough gravity to take its course. As it came back down in a heavy rain, the two men were still standing there. And when all the water cleared away along with the shockwave, impossible. What are you? Z stuttered out as he stared in complete shock to what he was seeing. His right arm was stopped in its tracks. That attack could have shredded anyone else's body. But yet his right arm was completely stopped. Was that your best? Was that all you possess? Was all that just to try and kill me? With this? He gripped the wrist tighter. As Z winced in pain, Z collapsed to one knee as Naruto kept on squeezing. This feeble technique is useless against me. Now drown in your failure, child of this age, said Naruto. Z cried in pain as Naruto snapped the wrist and released it. Now I wonder, what will you do? Z smirked. I was afraid of doing this, but seeing that my best technique can do nothing to you. Z pushed lightning through his body, causing his nerves to move. As he jumped forward, he wrapped his body around Naruto. Do it now, he yelled. Naruto turned and says he saw Mew up in mid-air, as he had a transparent cylinder in his palm. Jinten, as a transparent cylinder came around and surrounded the two. The glowing center started closing on Naruto as he looked at it. So one of the sage's techniques is known until today. Well, it will still do them no good. As Naruto's body started to glow, the blue in his eyes became a darker shade of blue. Z screamed as his arm started to burn, forcing him to release Naruto. If you think this can take me out, then you're sadly mistaken. Mew, release me, Z yelled. As he released him as he dived into the water, as Naruto's body started to release hot, intense steam, the technique then closed around him. Be gone, said Mew. But the technique was forcefully pushed open. It exploded in a fiery, bright blaze. As Naruto stepped out, his entire body was cloaked in crimson flames. His eyes glanced up. He wiped his hand as the flames off him simply vanished. How did you? Mew couldn't believe it. As Naruto disappeared, because I could not be speed from their point of view. Mew felt his throat grabbed and gripped tightly. Fire destroys everything, from the biggest of objects down to the smallest particle. There isn't anything my fire can't burn. As Naruto threw him as he started to plummet into the water, as the two of them started to plummet down below. They managed to get out as Naruto was now high in the sky. He could also fly? Mew thought to himself. If this is the best this era can offer, especially regarding combat, then I am most displeased. Perish from my sight, said Naruto as he raised his hand. Until, ding, the Yoda turned his eyes, as he felt a tremor in the spiritual realm. He turned away, just ignoring them, as he floated off back to the island. Both men narrowed their gaze towards him as he paused. Leave. I am no longer in a mood to prolong this fight. Well, if you'd call it that. So if you wish to survive, leave my sight. Before we leave, Z said, why didn't you use that katana of yours? As he remembered the total destruction that the man brought upon their fleets with just a swing of that blade. As Naruto glanced over his shoulder, if you had proven to be a good warm-up, I would be able to answer your question, but neither of you proved to be so. You disappoint me. Now leave before I change my mind. The two Kages vanished off the battlefield knowing that they didn't stand a chance. Naruto waved his hand as the fire disappeared from Uza. As he glanced up, he wondered what his clan had left behind during his absence. Earlier, with Kenshin versus Mida, Hoshiki Mida was starting to regret ever agreeing to the plan to invade Uza. Perhaps it was blind ignorance that let him believe that if he had joined forces with other nations, he would be able to wipe out Uza without any much consequence. Perhaps it was arrogant. They believed that they could defeat a village that was a threat to the entire elemental nation. Or perhaps it was pride that led Mida believe that he could take on the Uzumaki head without numerous deaths on his side and severe consequences. Now he was completely regretting, as he was barely standing and yet he saw his most powerful forces all eviscerated in front of his eyes. The Uzushinobis could repel genjutsu like that. That was not a threat to them. Their Fuin Jutsu was a huge play here, and their Nin and Taijutsu was keeping his force at bay and taking them out as well. Mida coughed up blood. He didn't know that he was this damaged. As he looked down towards his body, he could feel fractures in his left kneecap and his shoulder. His body was riddled with wounds, due to the unique combat style of Kenshin causing him to bleed profusely. He looked to see Kenshin, Although the clan head had suffered a few injuries, he still looked up to go for much longer. What's wrong, Mida? Where did your spirit go? Have you finally realized what you've stepped into? With his Uzumaki longevity, Kenjin could endure much more punch than a normal mortal, so he was ready to go. Even most life-threatening wounds could not stop a Uzumaki. And that is what made him and his clan so respected and dangerous on the battlefield. Are you ready to submit and yield defeat? He asked, as he looked down towards Mida. Mida swiped his hand across his chin. Never, he said, as he went through hand sign. Summoning Jutsu! The place was blanketed by a huge poof of smoke. Soon the smoke lessened to reveal a giant clam right in the middle of the walkway. The Mizukage stood on top of his summon as he looked down towards his opponent with an impassive gaze. Now lest you get past this, my greatest collaboration technique. The clam opened its mouth, its shell to be exact, and released steam all over. Mida saw the rest of his forces dealing with the other forces, until his steam started to fill his vision. A game of illusion, huh? Really? Are you that desperate? Soon enough, multiple mirage of Mida appeared around him, as he all went through hand sign, water style, Tepadama, as one of them spewed out a massive ball of water towards Kenjin, fire style, and then another one showed that he shot a bolt of fire down, earth style, Durori, another one release, a massive dragon that was made from the earth, as it came shooting down as well. More mirage started to release more jutsus, as Kenjin simply sighed. He knew that Mida didn't have fire or earth affinity, and he was only able to use this because he was utilizing his jutsu to the fullest, since it fell under the Yang release. He was able to manipulate the mind to think that he could, but it all was just an illusion, a very realistic illusion, but nevertheless an illusion. I am not in the mood for this games, Mida. Kenshin clapped his hands together. Uzumaki Fuinjutsu. Waving his hand out, there was a small vortex that appeared in mid-air, until it grew larger and larger, with a black emptiness right in the center. The jutsus, the steam, everything started to get pulled into the wormhole, as Kenshin slammed his other hand on the ground. Uzumaki Fuinjutsu. Kumonari, he said, and from there a white, spider-like web spread and stretched out all over the walls and ceilings, as the vortex was absorbing all the steam and the illusion. As the white webs turned crimson, "Gotcha," said Kenjin, as he appeared right in front of the clam. He slammed his hand on top of the head. Uzumaki Fuinjutsu. Hide, he said. The giant clam started to glow before it poofed away. It went back to its own realm. Kenjin did not give Mida a second. He just moved and slammed his fist into his face. Gripping his throat, he slammed his knee into his nose. He then black-handed into his side. Reaching out, he gripped his throat and lifted him up and slammed him, cracking the earth underneath him. As Mida picked his head up, Kenjin kicked him inside the face. He rolled as he smashed headfirst into one of the walls. Kenjin appeared in front of him and stomped on his chest. As Mida coughed up blood, Mida raised his hand up as he tried to pry the leg off him. Second Mizukage. You're lucky that I'm only prolonging your suffering, he said as he started to squeeze a bit. However, you have information I want, and you will give it to me otherwise. I will personally see to it that your village is sunk to the bottom of the ocean. Am I clear? Yes, I got it, Mida said, as he felt his chest like it was about to pop. Speak then. How did you, Kumo and the stone, get the information about our defenses? It was Hiruzen Sarutobe. The third Hokage met with all of us and gave us the details to bypass their defenses. He never gave us a reason why, just the details, and in exchange, we will hold a ceasefire with Konoha. As Kenshin's face went void of all emotion, he stood there. His hands started to tremble. His whole body did as blood started to leak from his fists, his nails digging into his palm. I see, he said. He took his foot off Mida and gripped him by the hair and brought him up to eye level. Seeing as you gave me what I wanted, I have no further use for you, but killing you would be a mercy. Live in shame, Hoshiki Mida. Cling to what you have saw today, as you realize what the Uzumakis are capable of. Now get out of my sight, as he threw the Kage like he was trash. Mida got to his feet and started to flee, as the others were forced to flee as well, the ones that remained. Kenshin then looked down towards his hands. So it is true. Konoha has betrayed us. Hiruzen Sarutobi only could get that information from one source, but she would never willingly hand that information over, given the fact that now we are against 4 of the major villages. It will seem that Uzumaki will go to war once again. His hands start to burn in pain, using his unique ability after so long. As he hadn't been in battle for quite some while, he needed to get back in shape. There was a reason why Mida called him Kenshin the Death Touch. Every Uzumaki was born with a unique ability. It was like a mutation in their own chakra. Kushina was born with the ability to conjure up chakra chains, and many others throughout history had awakened their own unique ability. His other daughter Urs had yet to awaken hers, but he felt that it would be soon. However, his was based on touch, or as he liked to call it, transmute his chakra. Upon everything that he touched, he was able to master it and combine it with his full jutsu. Without any needs of hand sign, he was even able to delay a jutsu, so that he could reach out to his target mid-range, long-range, however far they might be. But the true reason was when he was younger, Kenshin could kill a person with just a single touch, cripple them, or even seal them into a black, empty void. It was why he was so feared and respected by the Elemental Nation. It was a major reason why he was able to kill off the Kaguya clan so long ago. He shook his head at those morbid thoughts as he looked towards the waterway. The repairing seals started to kick in as the place started to reform. He turned towards his clansmen. They were injured, but fine, from the look of it. One of his personal guard came to his side. Report. Sir, the enemy is in full retreat, and those left behind are being dealt with as we speak. Any on the waterway has been neutralized. Casualties, Kenshin said. None, sir. However, there's one thing about the blonde man. What of him? Kenshin asked. The shinobi squirmed a bit. He slaughtered the entire main force. The fleet that tried to invade us is now burned away, at top of the sea. It's also reported that he defeated the 3rd, Raikage, and the 2nd, Tishikage as well. Kenshin's eyes widened. In the deep recesses of his mind, he thought that Yoda was merely bluffing when he said that he would take out the entire force, defeating the 2 legendary Kages as well. That meant only one thing. The mysterious Odas were a powerful, deadly clan, of that no doubt. And the fact that he did all of this was truly astounding. We would have surely lost if he had not defeated those 2 Kages. Is that all? No, sir, he's waiting for you back at your Kage tower. Very well. Have our sensors scout the entire place, but drop the evacuation. Have my family meet me at the Kage's tower. As the man nodded and moved off, it was time that he met with the savior of his daughter and his clan, and gave him what he's promised. And then he had to start to prepare for the worst. Time skip. Despite fighting so many people and 2 powerful Kages, there was not even a scratch on the man. As he stood there rather calmly, truly he looked like he hadn't done anything. Sorry to have you wait like this, but before anything I would like to formally introduce you to my family and myself. Something I could not do beforehand because of what transpired. The blonde merely nodded, but his mind was on something else. At what transpired after. He was just about to kill the 2 Kages, but something caught his attention. Something caught his attention that sent a sense of familiarity through him. And being asleep for coming no so long, he wanted to know what sent a tremor through the fabric of his spiritual reality. But before he could get there, it just vanished, much to his annoyance. So he just left the 2 Kages even though he could have catch up to them. But if they were to show their face again, he would erase them. So you're the man that saved Kushina, huh? As Naruto turned towards the 3 women, their matching similarities showed that they were related. The first one was the ever-excited Kushina, but she was wearing better garments than when they arrived. But the other 2, the other one looked just like Kushina except for a few key differences. And the other one was Kushina's mother, he could tell, just from the eyes alone. Kushina's face lighted up when she saw him, as she looked away when he looked at her. But she turned her gaze as their eyes met. That caused her to start squirm a bit. For Ursa Uzumaki, when her and her mother and sister came in, as she longed to see the man that saved her sister. As she turned her gaze towards the man, she couldn't help but stare. The way he looked, with those robes but his eyes. It was like he was someone to be mindful of, just by a single glance. Despite not doing it on purpose, his eyes had this intense gaze that made her froze up for a few seconds. Those eyes, they're even more scarier than Mom. Kurara saw something else though. His clothing and the way he held himself. A stance of nobility. There was no arrogance, no pride. like he was above them. She didn't feel that at all. But his eyes, his gaze was so intense. She has seen many nobles in her day, but she's never seen one like this before. As she could feel it, he was a calm, collected person, but the slightest act of aggression against him would be met with lethal, brutal force. In the blink of an eye, she felt it. Despite only looking like he was 20 years old, she felt like he had more wisdom than her own grandfather. But then the mark. She noticed a sigil on his clothing. As Naruto turned towards the Kushina look-alike, you would be correct in your assumption. She stood up before him, pushing down her nervousness. My name is Urza Uzumaki, Kushina's sister. As Naruto gave a small nod, as he already saw the similarities. As Naruto saw that she didn't fear him or shy away, just like her sister, even though he saw a bit of fear, there was not so much for her to look away. Given his past, and chose she hadn't witnessed what he could do, it was still a great feat. I see. It's a pleasure, he said. As he just looked at her, she had to look away as she felt her cheeks become a bit red. His gaze was just so intense. Karara stepped forward. I'm Karara Uzumaki, matriarch of the Uzumaki clan, mother to Kushina and Urza. It's a pleasure to meet you. For saving my daughter, you have the utmost gratitude for me, she said, as she gave him a bow. As Naruto merely nodded his head. It's a pleasure to meet you as well, Uzumaki-san, he said. And as for your daughter, she has done me a service, and I chose to repay that in full. Therefore, for saving her and returning her home, my debt is paid in full. He then turned. Now then, Uzumaki-san, I do believe that you promised to help me with something. For repelling the enemy forces against your clan. You know about my clan, and you even mentioned a tablet. Care to explain? The mother and children were confused. I did, he said. One moment, as he snapped his fingers, guards appear. Leave us. They nodded as they left the room. He then walked towards the wall and bit his finger, wiping his blood on it. A seal light up. As the wall sunk in and opened up. Follow me, Oda Dano, he said. As Naruto nodded. As the woman stood there, she was speechless. Karara couldn't believe what she just heard. Did he just say Oda? Karara, bring Kushina and Urza as well. As the heir to the clan, they must learn of the secrets and the history of our ancestors. Karara nodded as she brought the two girls. It was a winding staircase that went straight down. The walls slipped back in place, hiding any signs of what just transpired. As Naruto felt it, that feeling from before, when he was fighting two Kages, but it was getting stronger as he went into the abyss. He could feel his spiritual power as he went deeper. It felt so familiar, but he could not put his finger on it. So where are we going, father? Kushina asked the same question her twin was thinking. But Karara was the one that spoke. We're heading to the ancestral vault of the Uzumaki clan, where the head of our clan has all passed on their knowledge, history, techniques. Everything that is passed on is stored into the vault. It is where the next heir or heirs are to go to learn about the history of the Uzumaki clan. Entry in the vault is only allowed by the blood of the current clan head and the blood of his related kin. As Kenshin nodded, yes. I wanted to keep this a secret for a bit longer, but it seems I cannot hold out for much longer. There are many secrets the clan left behind for us, some of which we have not yet been able to decipher. But now I think that we should learn one of our biggest secrets. With Oda Dano here, he said, as Naruto raised eyebrow at that. However, he remained silent until Urza spoke up. I have a question if you don't mind. What was the Oda clan, Naruto-san? He looked her way. The two parents seemed a bit tense. He then turned his gaze back towards the torches. The Oda clan. My clan were a proud, noble people that did not rely on this energy that you call chakra, but a separate energy that was made up of two worlds. The world you know, which would be called the physical world, and the world that is called the spiritual world. We lived as nomads, cut off from the rest of society, but we would attend to assist those that needed the help from our clan. So your people were like monks, she asked, in a manner of speaking. He did not directly answer what she said, so she asked something else. What about the spiritual world? What do you mean by that? What it is exactly? He turned towards her. Look in his eye was a bit colder than normal. To be blunt, I mean the realm of the dead. The spiritual world is a place my clan was able to traverse, because we welcome the idea of another world beyond the physical one. This is why we were able to traverse the world of the dead, or as others might like call it, the underworld, or the city of the dead, or even Makai in some cases. "Now that is all I shall speak about this matter," he said, as he cut off any other source of information. But that made him question a lot. Who or what exactly was the Oda clan? Moments later, Uzumaki Vault. They were greeted with a black, dimly lit chamber. There was a massive silver door in front of them, crafted by a strange metal. It was silver, but yet it looked strange, as Naruto saw all the seals on the door. The small torches on the side illuminate them quite well. Only the blood of Clan Head can open this door, and should anyone else try, it will respond with lethal force. This door hasn't been opened since my ceremony to become Clan Head, but now time is too dire for it to remain closed. He said as he walked closer and placed 2 fingers in the center. Release! It started to glow a bright white. Clicking and clocking sounds could be heard. The seals then faded into the door. As the door opened, greeting him in another chamber that was pitch black. Kenshin slammed his hand on the wall. Release, he said. The doors behind them closed, but in front of them torches upon torches lit up the entire place. It seemed to stop about 3 miles ahead. Whoa! Both Ursa and Kushina said. Naruto could not blame them because even he was a bit impressed. The Uzumakis truly have been holding everything they ever learned. For years of existence, they brought everything in here. Shelves upon shelves, books upon books, artifacts, pedestals, so many things. So what do you think, Odadano? Kenshin asks, as Naruto nodded his head. Impressive, Uzumaki-san. Your clan knowledge exceed my expectations. Because to gather such vast amount of knowledge is simply astounding, and the symbol to your clan hard work and willpower alone. I am honored to hear that, but please, all that the Uzumaki clan know about your clan is kept separate from my own. This way, he said, as he led them deeper down to the contents. Kushina and Ursa looked toward each other as they wondered, what exactly was it about this Oda clan? As Naruto was walking, he could feel the feeling. It was getting closer and closer, as they came across another door, but this one had a different seal on it, one of which Kenshin released, but he stood aside. As Naruto watched them, he turned towards Naruto. This chamber door leads into the information regarding the Oda for the past few years. It is only fitting that the first person to enter be you, he said, as he stepped aside for Naruto. Kenshin spoke the truth because whatever was behind its door belonged to his clan, as he could feel it. Only those of the spiritual realm can hear this sound, as Naruto could feel his skin tingling. Still, it made him wonder what happened during his absence. That the Uzumakis did this, that they seal away his clan knowledge. What did they do while he was gone? As Naruto stepped inside, the Uzumaki slowly following behind him, as Kushina and Ursa tried to see what was going on. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see this person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, turn on that bell notification as they posted, remember to share to all of your friends in social media platform, and also remember to go ahead and check out the brand new series, What If Naruto Was Kidnapped and Returned with a Bloodline, and enjoy that, guys. And also remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Gaming King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. And yeah, without further ado, what do you say we jump on into this new episode? What am I saying? Let's get the hell out of here. See you guys soon. Peace.